different articles out there, but mainly theatrical reviews. And I also have recently started my own podcast with a friend of mine, Abe. It's called Out Now with Aaron and Abe, and we're slowly building a following. We're having a good time doing that show, and who knows, maybe more people will hear about it soon enough.
I think that's a distinct possibility. Russ, why don't you tell us about this episode's sponsor?
This episode is brought to you by Discount Comic Book Service. That's dcbservice.com, where you can find fantastic discounts on all of your pre-order monthly comics, trade paperbacks, hardcovers, toys, all kinds of goodies at dcbservice.com. Some of the specials that they've got going on this month on the comic side, that's non-Walking Dead. I always like to throw in at least one or two non-Walking Dead things. But the Fantastic Four by John Byrne Omnibus hardcover. This thing is a huge tome. It's right now on DCBS at 50% off. It's a advanced solicit, $62.50. So this is a $125 hardcover. If you're familiar with those Marvel Omnibuy, they're usually 30 to 40 issues in a bundle. I think this one is over 1,000 pages, or right at 1,000 pages, and it's the first part of John Byrne's awesome run of Fantastic Four in the 80s, where he wrote many issues and then wrote and drew many issues as well. And there's a lot of cool stuff back then. It's really kind of the rise of Doctor Doom being a really interesting and cool villain. He started to use Sue Storm in really neat and interesting ways that I think still have repercussions to this day. So if you remember that run for the 80s or are interested in that run for the 80s, this is like classic, awesome Fantastic Four, and I highly recommend it. On the Walking Dead side, they have resolicited yet again a new printing of the Walking Dead Compendium Volume 1. And this is the first 48 issues of the Walking Dead monthly comic, all in one book. And I think either Brad or John has said before, you could like kill a small child with this book. It is huge, but it's really cool to have it on your shelf that you can just pull out and thumb through it and get everything all in one sitting. And the price on that is, the discounted price is $35.99. So it's a great price for I think it's almost 800 pages, or almost 900 pages rather, of comic material all in one book. And it'll be a while before we see Volume 2. They're in the 80s right now, so I guess we're another year and a half away from possibly a Volume 2 compendium. So that'd be cool. We also have, I guess this month is the Walking Dead monthly, number 88. And then we have continuing the Walking Dead weekly, which we have issues 31, 32, 33, and 34. And of course, those are the reprints. These are the reprints of the monthlies from way back when, that folks that jumped on late and have that crazy collector mentality like I do want to get. And the price on all of the monthly stuff is $179. So again, if you are a new customer to the DCB service or haven't ordered from them in at least a year, you can use the code WD8 and it will give you an additional 8% off of your order. So again, we thank Discount Comic Book Service, DCBService.com, for their sponsorship for the Walking Dead TV podcast.
Yeah, if you are a listener to the show and you love the Walking Dead television show and you haven't read the book yet, there is, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I'm aware, no better value out there than to buy that compendium edition. It's an absolutely fantastic read, and for that price, you cannot beat it.
It's the first 8 trades.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for 8 trades, I was paying like $12 a trade. So I mean, you can see the savings right there. I wish the compendium edition had been out when I first started reading, because I would have definitely picked that up.
It's a monster.
So with all that out of the way, we're going to get right into our episode commentary. Like I said, the news and all that kind of discussion will be next episode. But so if you're watching the iTunes version, you're going to want to queue up the file to about 8 seconds in. Right after the AMC original series logo fades out, it's going to go to black. And then if you pause it right as it comes back up, you're going to see the skyline of Atlanta, kind of. You can't actually see the skyline. You're just seeing the edge of the building. And there's a little bracket holding that pipe in the background. That should be just to the right of center of the frame for you. Not quite 2/3 over, but right to the right of center. And if you're watching the DVD or the Blu-ray copy, you're going to want to queue up to 2 seconds in. And we're going to count down 3, 2, 1, unpause. And when we say unpause, just unpause your player and watch along with us. Everybody ready? We're going to count down 3, 2, 1, unpause. And I know a lot of people were kind of a little bit shaky on Michael Rooker in the first episode for a variety of reasons. They didn't quite understand the character, different things like that. But I think any doubt, at least I had, about his portrayal of this character or what the purpose of this character was washed away with this scene.
I completely agree. I believe I was writing in a lot during you guys' the initial episodes, and yeah, I wrote in about how I didn't like Michael Rooker on the second episode, and then it completely changed my mind in his one scene in this episode here.
It's an absolutely transcendent performance.
Yeah, after Mallrats, Rooker is one of those great character actors. He can really do no wrong. I'll just watch whatever he's in, because he's always going to put in a pretty top-notch performance.
For sure. Can we call him the Rook? Let's just start calling him the Rook.
Yeah, we'll make that up.
Rook takes fun.
The original lead of Castle. You know, speaking of Mallrats, I might have said this on the show before, but that was probably the first thing I ever saw him in, and he played such a convincing a-hole that it took me probably up till actually The Walking Dead before I was able to see him as anything else. You know, there's certain people, certain actors that they play that role so well that I come to literally dislike them. Like, I don't want to watch things with him in it because I just see that person. That's not a person I'd like in real life. So he's finally broken that for me. But for a while, like even, what was it, Slither was he in?
Slither.
As soon as I saw him in, I was like, I can't watch this. Like, that character just bothers me for some reason. But he does a nice little play on that here.
I think Cliffhanger was the first role that I can remember seeing him in.
Yeah.
Noticeably, where he's Gabe's like former friend, and then like his wife dies at the beginning of that film.
And then Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer and
lots
of memorable roles.
I'm just happy that we made a Cliffhanger reference.
That is our one Stallone reference for the evening.
Okay, now this scene is cool. I like it. The zombies break in, and it's almost shocking. Like you're wrapped up in like Rooker just like having all these different kind of thoughts. He's reflecting on his life. He's going crazy. He wants to get out, and then zombies come in. It's like, oh yeah, there's zombies on the show.
Yeah, he's trapped in one terrible moment, remembering another terrible moment, and then another terrible moment literally breaks through the door to get to him.
And just look at him here. Oh, he's in it.
And some great makeup there to make him look all sunburned. And
I wonder how hot it was to be on that roof filming.
Yeah, I've heard interviews where they say it was pretty obnoxious, but they helped him get into character, you know.
For sure.
If anything like Texas has been lately, it's like ridiculously hot, and it's only June. Ugh.
I mean, I know yesterday here just in Jersey it was 99 degrees.
Yeah, we've been over 100 consistently for over a week.
Like that belt buckle.
I wonder if Rooker if we finally get confirmed that Rooker's going to be in season 2, if we'll get like a flashback scene to him cutting off his hand.
I heard something that he's confirmed he will be back, or he's pretty sure he'll be back, but he didn't confirm that it would be season 2. So it may be season 3 before he comes back.
I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of did a little bit of what Aaron's saying and maybe have him in a flashback, but don't actually introduce him into the actual linear narrative until maybe season 3.
Right.
No, question. I believe it was said that the theme music by Barry McGarry, which is quite good. I really like the theme music for the show. It's altered in every episode. Do you guys have any?
Yeah, I meant to go back and check that, and thank you for reminding me because I really should. I got the impression it would be like major changes. It would just be like maybe there's a violin in the background in one, and an oboe, for lack of a better instrument, in the background of another. You know, something just to give it a little slightly different flavor.
Yeah. I think
But
maybe
no,
it's very subtle.
very likely, yeah. Because like I said, I haven't gone back and checked it yet, but nothing sticks out as, oh, that's obviously different.
I like that dialogue, except maybe Daryl. he might be upset that his brother's been left behind for dead.
That's a
That's what he
reason right
did.
there. Old school. It's like the old school, like when you're a little kid in middle school, you get your clubhouse and you set up traps, the cans and everything.
Here's Jim, looking happy as ever. And here are the red shirts in the background.
Dale up on the RV. And there's a couple continuity errors here with his hair length.
I guess I wanted to be on this episode in particular, so I'm happy to be a part of it because besides the pilot, which is kind of its own thing, this is my favorite episode of the season. I think it's the best example of what a Walking Dead episode should kind of on average be like, and I really like it a lot actually. I think Shane in particular. Shane is despite having, I certainly don't agree with like a lot of things. He's not a great person per se, but he's my favorite character in this TV version of the show thus far.
Right.
And I think this episode does a really good job of kind of getting across who he is.
Yeah, there's a lot of great character work at this episode. I mean, particularly him, but with Rick and Carl and everybody really gets a little bit here and there, but him in particular, there's some good stuff.
He has a lot of good lines in this one too. There's some one-liners later on in the episode, which I kind of like a lot.
This show has a lot of characters that you love to hate. You know,
Yeah.
in the show there's one, maybe two. In the show, there's at least 3 or 4.
That'll probably amp up as we see more characters coming in the next season too.
Yeah. I guess it's like the comic. You know, they kind of go through those phases too, where there's characters that you just love to hate or hate to hate.
And that's another reason I like this episode quite a bit because it's like the first episode does a great job of like it's naming the Rick show, and then the second episode is it's more the zombie kind of show the zombie action off and like what kind of level of gore and stuff they're going to get into on the series. But then this one brings it back to the characters, and I admire that a lot. It's very much like the comic in that way.
Ed was just in the background. I think he's right there in the foreground too. I think it's the first time we see him. It's so great there. I mean, you can't see this particular shot right here, but just a few seconds ago, you could see the Atlanta skyline behind them in the background. So great that they got that location.
Yeah, and I like that they do that to help you keep it grounded in the fact that they're not way off in the fringes of the backwoods somewhere. That they're not that far from civilization. You know, that they are in a wooded area and they're trying to keep safe. But you know, civilization is in their back door. And I think they do a better job in the TV show honestly than they do in the comic.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it's hard to communicate a whole scope of things within drawings, I guess, opposed to having a film TV show with actual locations.
Yeah, and it's easy to pan the camera around or pan it up, pan it down, on film in 2 seconds. Whereas with the book, you're limited to X number of panels per page or per book or per volume or whatever. So you got to be careful how you spend that.
And here we get our great Lost style reunion scene. Everybody else is hugging. We're about to have Rick walk into camp, and this is. I think we were discussing this last episode, but this is pretty much straight from the comics. You really, really feel that emotion very well.
I agree. Sorry, I agree with that. And but if there's one flaw in these first couple of episodes, not flaw, but just something I would have done differently. I think I would have held this at the end of the second episode, or have like this reunion come with the cliffhanger being like Lori and Shane both having kind of an ominous look in their eyes of, oh no, Rick's still alive after all.
Yeah, I think that would have been more effective. But the second episode was so jam packed with stuff. So
Yeah.
It's
I don't know how I would have written that differently. Maybe have the second episode be another extended episode like the first one, or
right.
Yeah.
I think they did a really good job of making Rick feel like he wasn't going to come across them. That he was just going to a camp somewhere, and had no. It's almost like at this point he had no thought that his family was actually going to be there.
That's kind of what I thought the first season would be like. I thought it'd be a lot more Rick without trying to find his family if they were going to change it that much. But no, they go on through plot points right away, so I appreciate that too.
When you're paying to cast the main characters, you want to have them on screen as much as possible.
Yeah. It'd be difficult to sell a show about one guy for the majority of a season before you finally get to the main rest of the cast. So.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Dale time.
I love Jeffrey DeMunn. I think he wasn't who I pictured for Dale when they cast him, but talk about spot on. Just incredible casting. That guy just knocks it out of the park.
That's just good. That's the mark of a good character actor. That's what that is. I'm happy that more people know who Jeffrey DeMunn is, just in general.
Exactly.
And you can watch Shawshank and Green Mile all you want, but you'll be like, oh, he's on that Walking Dead show. Jeffrey DeMunn? Yeah, he's Dale. The coolest character.
He was also in what was he? He was in the remake of The Blob too.
Yeah.
Really? Huh. Oh yeah, okay. Just for the record, we've made references to Cliffhanger and the Blob remake.
The guys over at the Talking Dead podcast just did a whole retrospective on his career, so they were looking at several films, including that one.
Yeah, here we go with this. It's interesting to watch Shane kind of take some of the stress of the situation out on this husband character who pretty much has it coming.
Yeah, that was
I'd be curious to know how Shane's leadership was going before Rick came back. He had to have these talks often.
Yeah, the power definitely seems to have gone to his head just a little bit.
By the way, this episode is called Tell It to the Frogs, but I subtitled it Rise of the Pants. we certainly we see it in the first couple of episodes, but since Shane is more prominent here, I think people really starting to catch on to how high his pants actually are.
I've heard that if you bring that up to him, he gets a little frustrated and starts muttering under. He apparently speaks fluent Russian, and he's not from Russia, but he speaks fluent Russian. And apparently, so when you start giving him a hard time about the whole pants thing, he starts muttering under his breath in Russian. I don't know what, but that's what I've heard. So that was like a note to self: probably best not to chime him about the pants.
That is an awesome and incredibly specific character trait.
Yes,
I want to see that on the show.
I want to do it just so I can record it and find out what he was saying.
I'll be at Comic-Con this year, so if I see Shane, see John Bernthal, I'll be sure not to mention the pants. But I hope that someone else does, so I can hear him mutter Russian.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just pay the guy $5 in line ahead of you. Hey, talk about the pants.
I was looking forward to hopefully seeing the season in a black and white option, which was not necessarily rumored, but the idea was teased. And I was even at that Comic-Con panel. Actually, I was trying to ask that question, someone beat me to it, but I was sad that they didn't have that option here. Maybe for the second season, it'd be nice.
Well, if you put it in your TV and turn what is it, contrast all the way down.
Contrast all the way.
I'm pretty sure that's the way to do it with like VLC Media Player too, but I forget.
I prefer mine in a sepia tone.
yeah. I like to watch anything in old school red and blue 3D glasses.
That's how the show is well shot. Like it's certainly grainy and saturated. Like I really love the way they chose to make this year have the visual style of the season.
Yeah,
it's more apparent in the first episode, of course, but it still works.
Did that book behind Lori say Costa Rica?
I think so. Yeah.
It's a guidebook. That's their contingency plan. They're trying to get down to Costa Rica. I know from the remake of Dawn of the Dead, the island thing does not work out.
Don't go to sleep, son. Mommy and daddy have some issues to work out.
So one of them is not dressed for the weather particularly well.
Yeah.
She's got clothes and a blanket, and he doesn't have either. One of them is going to be particularly uncomfortable this particular night. This episode was directed by Gwyneth Porter Payton. I was looking through her IMDb a little bit earlier. She's directed quite a bit of television, actually. One of the earliest is back. Remember they remade Bionic Woman?
I try not to.
She directed an episode of that, but she also directed 5 episodes of The Shield, one of Fringe, one of Battlestar Galactica, 2 episodes of The Unit, Some Criminal Minds and Numbers, Blue Blood, Sons of Anarchy, which I love. Of course, this. She did an episode of The Killing, and she's going to be doing an episode of the upcoming Torchwood Miracle Day.
Oh,
interesting.
And that's just directing. She's done a lot of like AD stuff and Second Unit on many other shows as well.
Including Second Unit work on Homeward Bound 2, Lost in San Francisco.
Yeah, which is weird because that movie, actually the first one came up in conversation yesterday, was the first movie I ever went to see in theaters.
Wow. Bambi
Fun facts.
And the ending of that movie to this day, probably, because I haven't seen it in 10 years, but always chokes me up.
The first Homeward Bound, right?
The first one. I don't really remember anything about the second, except they spent a lot of time in like an old abandoned apartment building. And doesn't Chance get shot in that one or something?
I don't care.
I do not
have you guys been watching The Killing?
I think they put the first 4 or 5 episodes online for free. I watched those, but I don't have AMC at the moment, so I'll have to check out the DVD when that comes out. What did you think of it?
I'm enjoying it for the most part. I think it really I think it took kind of a detour involving a certain character and what would be a red herring, but I think it's getting back on track now, so I'm curious to see how the season's going to wrap up. It's going to end soon. So.
I'm really interested in seeing the next one. I'm really interested in seeing Breaking Bad because that comes back in a couple weeks.
Oh, yeah.
And that's one I would just buy on iTunes, like sight unseen, because I just got season 3 on DVD the other day, which is my favorite season of television ever, and I'm watching through it and just remembering how much I absolutely adore the show. But the next brand new series that comes out is called Hell on Wheels, and that looks really interesting. It's a Confederate soldier after the Civil War whose wife was murdered by Union soldiers is now working for the Transcontinental Railroad as they build it and trying to hunt down and kill the men responsible for killing his wife.
Okay,
it looks quite interesting.
That's Common and Paul Meany of Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
There's a combo. That's a key line, by the way, in the show that we're supposed to be talking about. You won't wake up.
I figured it was talk about another show or just talk over this particularly awkward scene. Not an awkwardly done scene, but just an awkward scene to talk over.
Now we're going to cut to Shane.
It's great lighting there.
Yeah.
Yeah, somehow sitting on top of that RV and watching people is a lot less creepy when Dale does it.
Yep. Well, Dale's pants are considerably lower. So.
True.
Apparently he's wearing Chucks with no laces, which seems like a bad decision in case you ever have to run anywhere.
I just assumed they're washing his laces. It was very thorough.
She's currently ironing his laces.
Yeah.
They're very strict about the police uniform. Gotta have the flat laces.
That's dedication, my friend.
So we have Carol.
It's funny in the show, just like in the comic, they didn't try, and I was really worried about this when it was going to TV, is they didn't try and pre-fi everybody. I know we talked about this from before, but TV tends to just cast it with a whole bunch of pretty people, and everybody is fantastic and in perfect shape and looks great and is attractive all the time. And I like when they do shows like this where it's just like regular people. I mean, you could easily see this being the folks that live next door, or across the street, or your uncle, or your brother, or whatever. I mean, they're just like normal looking folks that are going through this situation, which I think enhances the realism in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's certainly kind of an everyman quality, even Rick, who's basically a handsome Brit. So they had to demystify the allure of Jeffrey DeMunn, but I'm okay with that. He makes a good deal.
If they've been out there a month, it seems like they should know by now to boil. Shouldn't really have to remind them about that.
They lost their water boy. Uh-oh.
Now, this zombie that we're about to see is, of course, Greg Nicotero. This is the first of 2 zombies he'll be playing in this season. And we'll talk more about this next episode when we talk about news, but we've finally seen pictures of the television action figures, the first wave of those, the 4 action figures. And Zombie Biter is this particular zombie right here.
Nice. Yeah, I'm curious to see what
Still no Buster.
No, the other zombie is Buster.
Oh, yeah, the action figures. Yeah, I meant this episode. Yeah,
okay.
Here we go. In the face.
I like to reimagine the scene set to the Queen song, just like at the end of Shaun of the Dead. Dun, 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 dun. Kill the Queen!
Having a ball.
we need to ask.
Dale earned 5 points for decapitation.
Yeah. We need to seriously ask the listeners to start a write-in campaign to getting Buster made as an action figure.
No, he is.
Yeah, he has an action figure. Yeah, he's one of them.
What do they call him?
Zombie Walker, I believe, because Zombie Walker and Zombie Biter.
We need a write-in campaign of having officially renamed as Buster.
Well, you could write on the box with a Sharpie.
You need to buy the figure.
Oh,
Right
here
on
so I don't want to
The television watching rooms of the women across America just got a little bit warmer.
Like, oh. Boondock Saints here. Things could be okay.
And all of Dixon's Texans just stopped listening to this episode. They're just watching.
It's an impressive squirrel pelt collection that he's been.
His action figure comes with the squirrels. It's awesome.
Oh,
Yeah. They did a lot of good work with the detail on all of them.
I like it. Did he make the on Golden Pond reference? That yeah, it's funny to hear. He has the hick attitude. Yeah, he's quite like he's a cinephile apparently, making old Golden Pond references, talking about Dale's hat.
Yes.
And educated in zombie lore, even though I guess these characters aren't supposed to really know zombie knowledge.
Nah, he's a hunter. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, okay.
There's that motorcycle again, and still nobody riding it.
How did he die? It wasn't the zombies. He took that motorcycle out and laid it down on the highway, and that was the end of him.
But they still recovered the motorcycle.
They still was important.
Well, I mean, of all the this is of course hypothetical, but of all the characters we've got here, I don't know that I can see any of them necessarily. Maybe Merle. I could maybe see it being Merle's motorcycle.
Huh, maybe Ironside. Or Ironside. Sorry, Ironside. Yeah, Michael Ironside. Maybe a T-Dog.
I was thinking
Yeah,
Aaron,
maybe.
Aaron. Raymond Burr. It's his motorcycle.
He's got some weird sideburns. I never noticed that he throws the squirrels at him before.
I like that chain chuck too. Like just comes in from the side. That's good.
Yeah.
I like the scene. I mean, you're setting up this character right here, and I think Norman Reedus does a very good job.
Chokehold legal man.
And there's good lines. He's clearly he has a temper, but there's a reasonable quality too. He understands.
He dropped the damn key.
I want to know the meeting that happened where they decided that geeks was the appropriate term to call these undead people.
Well, presumably they would bite the heads off of chickens.
Okay. Is that one in the background?
I didn't
There was
notice.
a woman in a black t-shirt in the background. It wasn't Lori. She's right there.
I mean, there's a couple people who never really talk or get lines or anything. You just kind of occasionally see them.
Log carriers.
Yeah, exactly. Log carrying people.
There was a good chain line right there too.
Zombie apocalypse is no time to be wearing a shirt with epaulets. Richard knows the way now too. He's been there.
He's been there, but he's not as well traversed in the geography of dodging geeks like Glenn apparently is.
Interesting character moment for Rick. It really goes to show that his caring side shows his empathy, which I think is where we get the big contrast between him and Shane, especially in the scene here.
It'll be interesting to see how this carries over into the next season when Shane and Rick still kind of leading this pack, and who's with Rick clearly taking control, and how that's going to affect Shane as a character since we're in uncharted territories.
I predict tension.
Yeah, and even the next couple episodes of the season.
So which person, when they were frantically escaping the city, was the one who remembered to grab clothespins like that? I don't even own clothespins.
Grab your pictures, grab your photo albums, you grab the clothespins.
No, it's probably whoever owns the RV. So Dale, like I mean, they probably had them.
That's a good point, yeah.
He's in an RV. He's already camping. Probably used to washing clothes, or having to dry them. I lost my hat. Andrea not minding a lack of brush or comb.
Yeah, she's rocking the big hair. He's that bag and he's that hat.
I wonder how much Dodge paid him to make sure they put that Challenger in the show.
A bright red one.
I don't know, because generally when there's product placement, you aren't supposed to use the products in certain ways, like hot wiring them. That would be generally one of the things I would think of, that if I was the one who owned the car, I wouldn't want that done.
Yeah, Dale's beard does look a little shaggier than it did before.
This bolt cutter just perfectly fit in that toolbox.
Dale knows how to accessorize.
Mm-hmm.
I like this gym line coming up too. He knows stuff. It's like we can get some more out of this.
It was a good decision to kind of seed some Jim stuff here a little bit earlier in the season, so he doesn't come out of nowhere when he gets bit.
Yeah, for sure. Like Jim wasn't certainly not one of the larger characters in the comic.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing in the comic. I don't think they set him up like this. I think it's just all of a sudden, oh my gosh, Jim's bit. Who the heck is Jim? Which, I mean, it's not necessarily a failing of the comic. It's kind of what I guess Russ was saying before. It's one of those, or maybe it was Aaron, I forget, but the economy of the comic page, sometimes it just takes too many panels to do something. You're squandering that space for other information that's more pertinent to the story.
There's times in this show where Reedus' Daryl Dixon reminds me a lot of his Scud character from Blade 2. Especially just a minute ago we saw him where he's kicking the horn with his foot and telling him, "Come on, let's go." He's ready to roll out.
That is a great pistol.
Yeah, looks like you can pack a wallop.
Yes.
Shane holding the pose.
That's one of those guns you give a first timer at range to laugh when they get flung backwards after their first shot.
Bump themselves in the head.
Yeah, exactly. Their arm just flies up. They haven't planted their feet or anything.
I like this Carl moment too. There's not a lot of Carl in this season, but they use him well, I think.
Yeah, especially in this episode, going back to what you brought forth, the character work. Especially in this episode, they do a good job of setting up his relationship to Shane, which is something, once again, I don't think they went into too much in the comic, but it just makes sense here, and it's a great little addition. It feels the emotions of not only him and Shane, but also Rick and Laurie as well, as they see this kind of third party moving in on something he shouldn't be, pretty much. Maybe that's kind of debatable, much more than many other things he moves in on that he shouldn't over the course of the season. But it's one of those, that's kind of a step too far. You should not be doing that.
For sure, and it makes it, it makes it very interesting to see where the series is going to go, since we're in and out of the exact plot lines of the comic versus the show. So it'll be interesting.
Mm-hmm. I know exactly what you're hinting at.
Yeah.
I need to give him these logs. The Walking Dead is an equal log carrying opportunity show, even the main characters carry logs.
And it's funny the way Dale said that. Even there's a little bit of contempt in him, because I think we're all pretty much know that Dale's up on what's going on between Laurie and Shane.
Well, you figure if Shane is well aware of what's going on inside their tent while he's keeping watch, presumably Dale's got to watch a few nights too.
Yeah.
And,
Dale's a smart man.
Yeah. He's been around the block a few times, probably in the RV.
This was really tough, because you really want to hate Shane. You really want to hate him. And then this is one of those moments where you sit sitting here with Carl where you're just like, he's not really that bad of a guy. He's really trying to, take Carl's mind off of what's bothering him with his father just coming back and leaving again, and trying to lighten the mood up a little bit.
For sure. It goes into why I really like Shane in this series. So especially having seen the whole season now and kind of looking back and thinking of the position that he's in, where like he had a certain thought about where Rick was. Like he didn't think, no one would think it's good for Rick in that situation. He's in a coma in a hospital, and it's hard to say he wasn't necessarily moving in as much as kind of helping Laurie and Shane cope with things in a sense. And yeah, it's neat to watch his character, how we see his character now, having seen the whole season and seeing where he's coming from exactly.
Yeah, it makes him a bit more conflicted and maybe a bit more understandable in some elements, but also, they bring in like the whole attempted rape in episode 6, I guess it is. That's kind of new. So they're padding both ends of the emotional spectrum for him in terms of how much you can feel for him, which is cool. It adds a new dimension.
Yeah, again, all of his actions aren't justifiable, that's for sure. A lot of people rightfully hate Shane. And I'm not, from a character standpoint, I don't think he's like a stand-up person, but he does a lot of very good and interesting things throughout this
season. Yeah. This is a good scene. Kind of takes you one direction, swings back around, and after you've just started to like Shane a little bit in that scene with Carl, you get to this, where you kind of like him, but for a different reason, and you're kind of frightened as well.
And then this happens.
It looks like a person who just needs a good punch in the face.
He's the worst kind of character. He's not like drinking. He's not doing drugs that we can see. He's just a jerk.
Yeah.
He's just a bad guy. I know you guys got a lot of hate on the fact that you guys hate Laurie. Well, not hate Laurie, but I know you've been given some. You guys have expressed not being Laurie's biggest fan in general, and in the comic mainly, but in the show kind of too. You've gotten flack for that in the past. And I know I'm a little new here, but I'm not a big Laurie fan.
I do give her a lot of credit, though, for as soon as he's back now, she's cutting it off. Even if she made some very, very questionable and poor decisions in the month or so that he was gone, she thought he was dead. She's at least trying to buy that back as much as she can right here, right now. No questions. Or no ifs, ands, or buts, I mean.
Also, not giving them a chance to talk. Just that look on Shane's face and just the way it's going to play out the end of this episode. It's well done. Oh, here we go.
Great kill coming up right here.
Yep. Oh, yeah, there's zombies in the show. There's so much good character work, I forgot.
Would a crossbow bolt actually go all the way through a human skull like that?
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I'm familiar with standard archery, but not crossbows.
Maybe Merle. Sorry, Daryl. Maybe Daryl modified his crossbow a bit.
He added nitrous.
Yeah, exactly. He charged up before he shot it.
That particular word he just used, I think I made the comment when the episode first aired that I'd never heard that word on television before. I take that back now because I've seen a couple episodes of other shows that use it as well, but it's still particularly shocking, I think.
And the phrase a wife beater too. God, just everything about this guy.
Oh, yeah.
Now the use of music here is interesting. Bear McCreary score, because it's very much paying tribute to 28 Days Later with the way it's going for John Murphy's score. He uses that track's called In a Heartbeat, which has been used a lot in other.
I do hear that now that you mention it. Yeah.
And it's not that track, but he's definitely evoking that. He's definitely paying homage to that, to that music. Which I'll put on my movie Geek Hat, and we'll actually hear a John Murphy score from Sunshine, I believe, in the last episode. That's the music they use after the CDC explodes. That connection to Sunshine and 28 Days Later, they're both Danny Boyle films.
Right.
But for everybody at home, so it's not too out there for reference.
I like Sunshine. It's a good movie.
Yeah, it's cool. I think it's especially the more times I watch it, because obviously there's problems with the last kind of act where it becomes a horror movie over a really compelling sci-fi narrative.
It's one of those movies where it's got all those actors like, oh, it's that guy from that thing.
That's why I really started to like Chris Evans a lot, actually.
Yeah, he's really good.
Future Captain America. Yeah, before he was just Human Torch. Basically, he had that comedic shtick, but he stepped up his game for Sunshine. I really liked him. Here we go.
Yeah, well, the nice shocking ending. I mean, you kind of see it coming, but even with that, it's man, it's gnarly, as they say, or used to.
Wonder why Merle didn't take the hand with him. Maybe he's running out of time.
He was also suffering from heat stroke at that point. He wasn't.
Yeah,
really-
a lot of emotions going. Why would you cut off your own hand? I guess.
Yeah. I don't exactly have the sense of memory to go by to think what would I do in that situation. But
Wonder where he cauterized that wound.
in the next episode we see it was.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So that was Tell It to the Frogs. I love this track, this ending track.
I like the one. It's similar to that John Murphy track again, where it just kind of builds and builds and gets to this. It's nicely done. Good job, Aaron McCreary.
We approve. So thank you, Aaron, for coming on with us tonight, discussing the episode. We really appreciate that. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure.
And why don't you tell listeners again where they can find your many different media exploits online?
All right, I'll start with Twitter. You can follow me at twitter.com/AaronsPS3, AARONSPS3. I have my own personal blog site where you can find all my film reviews at thecodeofzeke.blogspot.com. And on the HHWLOD website, I actually have my own page. It's also called The Code of Zeke. And I also publish to a site called Why So Blue. Why So Blue as in Blu-ray.
And what was your podcast called again?
Oh, yeah, the podcast is it's so new to us. Out Now with Aaron and Abe. It's not actually on iTunes yet, but you can find us at facebook.com/OutNowPodcast.
Very, very cool. So that's it for this episode. If you'd like to leave us a voicemail message about Tell to the Frogs, about this episode, about some of the news that's been coming out about the show recently, which we'll be talking about next episode, leave us a voicemail at 516-468-7912, or you can leave us an email, comments@walkingdeadtv.com. Don't forget, check out Half Hour Wasted on Mondays and the Legion of Dudes podcast on Thursdays on hhwlod.com. Check out our Facebook groups for Legion of Dudes, Half Hour Wasted, and Walking Dead. The Walking Dead one has been booming lately. There's been a ton of activity going on over there. So you'll go over to Facebook, search for Walking Dead TV podcast, or I'm sure we have a link over at walkingdeadtv.com or hhwlod.com. But yeah, pretty much all the news we're going to be talking about on the next episode, it is already up there.
Yeah, I've been enjoying that.
And you can follow us on Twitter at WDTV Podcast and at HHWLOD_network. I'm at Jordan FRM Jersey, and Russ is at R Latham. And what was yours again, Aaron?
Aaron's PS3.
Very cool. So until there's no more room left in hell and the dead walk the earth, remember, chokeholds are illegal. Have a good week.
Night.
Jeremiah was a bullfrog, was a good friend of mine. Never understood a single word he said, but I helped him a drink his wine. He always had some fine line. He said, go to the club, all of us go now. Go to the fishes in the deep blue sea, go to you and me.
I got Breaking Bad Season 3, the DVD.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
And it reminded me of something I'd completely forgotten. You remember in Walking Dead, the bicycle girl shot of her crawling?
Yep.
They did that same scene, essentially, in Breaking
Oh,
Bad.
yeah. And I see you. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, that's the same. They even did it the same way, because I was watching behind